I'm currently on a 7-night cruise on one of the oldest and smallest cruise ships that Royal Caribbean doesn't talk about. I got seasick, and the ship has a dated look, but I still think this is one of the best ships you can get on. The ship I'm sailing on is Brilliance of the Seas. She was built in 2002 and doesn't have any of the features that you'll find on the new Icon or Oasis class ships. She doesn't have a water park, central park, destination elevators, heck, it doesn't even have a royal promenade. But what Brilliance does have is a lot of character, great itineraries, and even better prices. It's the kind of ship I point to as an example of why trying an older ship is totally worth it. Now, I've been on many Royal Caribbean ships, over 100 different sailings, and I love and gravitate towards the newer ships. The Icon class has been a revelation. I've been a huge fan of the Oasis class. All these ships are the kind of ships I recommend to everybody to try out. But when you talk about an older ship like Brilliance of the Seas, there is something to be said about what it offers, even though it doesn't have all these crazy, amazing things you'll find on newer ships. My last cruise I went on was Royal Caribbean's Utopia of the Seas for a short 3-night cruise, and this is Royal Caribbean's self-proclaimed party ship. It's all about getting away for a couple days, a lot of first-time cruisers, and it's a brand new giant ship, one of the biggest cruise ships in the world. So going from that over to now on board the Brilliance of the Seas, I was a little worried that it wouldn't add up, more in the fact that I would just miss so much of what I love about a ship like Utopia, being an Oasis class ship, offering so much more than you can possibly do. I wasn't worried about being bored, but I was worried about having FOMO, and certainly feeling like I just missed too much of what makes those ships so amazing. But one major advantage Brilliance has, and it's the reason why I booked this cruise, was the itinerary. This sailing went out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, which meant I had to fly to San Juan to pick up the ship, and then we would do a 7-night deep Southern Caribbean itinerary with an overnight stop in Aruba and also a stop in Tortola, which is a port I've never been to before. In addition, we would visit Curacao, which is one of the most beloved islands in the Caribbean, being part of the quote-unquote ABC islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. The reason to take a Southern Caribbean cruise, in my opinion, is the amazing places, the sheer beauty you have of these. Caribbean islands are all beautiful. They all have their own je ne sais quoi that makes them truly stand out as really pretty. But the Southern Caribbean itineraries by far have the prettiest water, the clearest skies, and some of the best weather you'll find all year round. I was betting that I would be able to overlook some of the things about the ship that it lacked, but make up for it in the itinerary. If we're doing a lot of ports and exploring and enjoying time there, I'm less dependent on having some of those favorite things that I look forward to on the big ships. For this cruise, I flew out of Orlando down to San Juan, Puerto Rico, a short 2.5-hour flight, uneventful, really easy. The boarding process was fine, although I actually did get to the cruise terminal way too early and ended up actually getting in more traffic than I expected, but it wasn't a big deal, and luckily when I got to the cruise terminal, I was greeted by different lines for actual check-in time, something I haven't seen in a while, but they weren't really enforced, and certainly once the doors opened to the terminal right around 11 o'clock in the morning, we were able to not only do our check-in, but go immediately on board and not wait around the cruise terminal. Brilliance of the Seas is a Radiance class cruise ship. It holds a little over 2,000 passengers, and being a 20-plus-year-old cruise ship, you'll instantly know it when you walk on board. I mean, that's not a bad thing inherently. What I mean by it is the decor, the look of it. Number one, it doesn't have a royal promenade. This is something that if you've been on pretty much most Royal Caribbean cruise ships, you would notice immediately. The royal promenade is this amazing thoroughfare. It's wide, it's big. You know, some people call it a mall, but it just has this grand aura to it that you feel like you're in a really compelling and impressive space. Now, instead, on Brilliance of the Seas, you have the Royal Centrum. The Centrum is a giant open area. It's multi-deck, goes from basically right at the bottom of deck 4 all the way up to deck 12. And it's a large, almost viewing center, meaning you can be on any of these decks, look down into the Centrum, and see what's happening. And there are activities down at the bottom of the Centrum. There could be live music, there could be a game show, there could be all sorts of, activities basically, and you can watch them from there. It's actually great for people watching because a lot of people just pull up a chair and watch what's going on down there. But at the same time, it also lacks, I think, more of that feel of the big ship. However, it's a really pretty ship. In fact, the Radiance class ships are well known for having lots of views outside. There's lots of glass, and that means no matter where you walk around the ship, there are views all around you. In fact, this is, I think, one of the best features about it, because one of the main complaints about Voyager and Oasis class cruise ships is that you really can't see outside from them. They're very inward facing. And so a lot of people want to have a connection to the ocean. And the great thing about Brilliance is you can see out from everywhere. In fact, there are even elevators that are made of glass, and it allows you to look out and see what's around you at any given time. As I boarded the ship, my first stop was the Windjammer. Of course, you know that I love going to the buffet right when the ship opens up. Having my first meal being the buffet, it just feels like being on a roller coaster cruise. I mean, I certainly don't mind when I book specialty dining, but there's something about the buffet that always makes it feel like, yes, I'm back on a cruise ship. One of the best things about this particular Windjammer is that there's not only plenty of seating, but there's plenty of seating on the outside. Radiance class cruise ships have outdoor Windjammer seatings, a feature you will not find on bigger, newer cruise ships. And that's really nice to be able to take your food, go outside, have a view, enjoy the breeze with your meal, and I gotta tell you, the weather was perfect in San Juan. Being that this cruise was in the very beginning of March, it's still technically winter, and it certainly was not hot yet, not like it was when I was visiting in October, when I was on Oasis of the Seas, and that was just pure, unadulterated humidity. Here, it was lovely. And it is one of my favorite go-to cruise tricks is to go out to the back of the Windjammer, and you can do this for any time it's open, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's a must-do. Not only is it less crowded, but I just love all the amazing views out there. It's something about connection to that ocean that really stands out. Now, on this particular itinerary, we would be 7 nights with only 2 sea days. So one advantage of picking a cruise that has very few sea days on an older ship is you're less reliant on what the ship has to offer. I mean, sea days are relaxing, and in a lot of cases, they use them as almost recharge days, opportunities to kind of hang out and just relax, right? But on the port days, you're going to be spending lots of time on shore, going and doing everything you possibly can to take advantage of your limited time in each of these ports. One downside, though, of a ship like Brilliance is there's not a lot of dining choices. I mean, you're not going hungry, but there's the main dining room, there's the Windjammer, and there's only 3 specialty restaurants, plus Chef's Table. Chef's Table is an intense wine pairing, multi-course, multi-hour meal. I've done it a couple times. I've loved it, but it's not a, hey, let's go do this every single kind of cruise type experience. But Chop's Grill, the steakhouse, Giovanni's Italian Table, which is an Italian restaurant, and Izumi Sushi are lovely. But on this cruise, I just didn't feel like actually booking a specialty restaurant reservation or even a dining package. Royal Caribbean offers discounts if you purchase a specialty restaurant reservation before the cruise begins on their website, or if you simply go for a dining package, which offers almost a bulk discount for many different restaurants. Ultimately, I decided to rely on the main dining room and the Windjammer. They're good enough for what I'm looking for. I was cruising solo on this one without my family, so I didn't really feel like I needed to go spend money on specialty restaurants. I don't have a problem actually going to specialty dining by myself, but I decided main dining room, Windjammer, sign me up. That's a great idea. Now, one of the coolest things about sailing out of San Juan, Puerto Rico is the sail away, because you don't leave port at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon like most ports. In San Juan, for whatever reason, the ship does not leave until 8 p.m. at night or even later. So what this means is you get a nighttime sail away and you get amazing views of a lit up San Juan. Because the cruise ship sails from right near Old San Juan, you're able to get some amazing views because the whole city's lit up. And on top of that, Brilliance of the Seas has another great feature, which is the helipad at the very front. The helipad is an area you can access by going out to Deck 5 and walking all the way forward. Once you get there, you're able to go right up to the helipad, because there's not a helicopter there, and have one of the best sailaway spots ever. This is one of my favorite secrets. It's only available on the Radiance, Freedom, and Voyager class ships, but the views are fantastic. There's no bar service here, but BYOB and enjoy what's out there, because we were out there all the way through sail away until we got out to the open ocean. Getting out to the open ocean is where I ran into my first bit of trouble. We had a sea day to start off things with, and hey, that was great. I wouldn't mind a little relaxing start, not having to go all at it, and enjoy what Brilliance of the Seas has to offer, which is a great pool deck, by the way. It's not expansive, but they have a main pool, and they have an indoor solarium adults-only pool area. And in fact, the solarium is my favorite adults-only solarium on any ship. So think about the layout and the look of it. It is, in my opinion, the best in the fleet. Great bar, easy to get around, wonderful pool as well, and a hot tub. In fact, you actually find Park Cafe in here, which offers your pizza, salads, cookies, sandwiches, your late night food. You're going to go over here. I was feeling totally fine, but the winds were picking up, the waves were going, and the ship was rocking. And right around 4 o'clock or so, I started getting nauseous, and I knew almost immediately I was seasick. I mean, I have too much pride because I'm like, I'm not going to get seasick and try to will it out, but pretty soon I was just not enjoying life. I wasn't hungry, I skipped dinner, and stayed in my room. Now, luckily, I traveled the right way. I pack medicines with me to make sure that in a situation like this, if I have getting seasick or if I was to get a cold or something, I have medications with me. Be prepared. This is one of my best cruise tips to ensure that you don't have to worry or try to figure out logistics when you're not feeling well. In my case, I had Bonine, popped a couple of those, took a nap honestly, slept a little bit off, and within an hour or two I started feeling much better. Getting seasick on a cruise can happen at any time, although I will admit, I think in all the times I've ever gotten seasick, it's almost always been on smaller ships like Brilliance of the Seas. I think part of it is just that the size of the ship is such that they get jostled around more. Anyway, while it can happen, what I want you to take away is that it's very easily managed. And in my case, I just popped some over-the-counter medications if I'm not feeling well, and that took care of it quite quickly. Once I was feeling better, I was able to go back out. The Windjammer was still open. I had dinner, and I got to hang out one of my favorite places, which is the pub on board. Almost every Royal Caribbean cruise ship has an English-style pub on there, and I love this place for my go-to evening entertainment. The pub on Brilliance of the Seas is located near the casino, and they have a pub singer in there who plays the guitar, and it is absolutely fantastic. I love the tunes that he plays, and he was really talented, in fact, and so we would go there for our evening drinks almost every night of this cruise. Speaking of bars that are truly unique on the Brilliance of the Seas, I gotta tell you, the Schooner Bar is probably the best bar, not only on this ship, not only within the Radiance class, but entire Royal Caribbean fleet. I mean, it is a fan favorite for a reason. So there's a Schooner Bar on every single ship, but the look of it can vary from ship class to ship class. And over the years, Royal Caribbean has, I wouldn't say watered down the Schooner Bar, but it's not nearly as nautical or as impressive as it had been, like is the case here with a 20-plus-year-old cruise ship on Brilliance of the Seas. If you've been on a Radiance class ship, I am sure that you probably noticed how more impressive the Schooner Bar is. It's wide, it's big, there's a great bar setup, great for people watching, the seating selections, and it has that really nice nautical look, which is appropriate for a bar named the Schooner Bar, which is amazing. And so I really love spending time in here, and at night there's a piano player who plays piano tunes, and we had an amazing one on here. I gotta tell you, I got really lucky with the entertainment and whom Royal Caribbean selected to perform on board. It was really impressive. One area, though, that I definitely skipped was the main theater. There are shows in the evening on Brilliance of the Seas, but I don't go see them. Part of the reason for this is that while Royal Caribbean's entertainment is really, really good, it's much better on the newer ships. And I've been on Brilliance before, and they have some nice musical reviews in which there's dancing and singing, and it's a nice medley of entertainment. But it's definitely one of those been there, done that, seen it once, seen them all kind of thing. And it doesn't stack up compared to the newer ships. That really is the crux of the issue here, because when you talk about what Royal Caribbean advertises, when you look at a commercial of Royal Caribbean, or you really see almost anything related to the cruise line these days in any form of media, it's almost certainly pointed towards the bigger, newer ships. Brilliance, however, will not make the commercial B-roll footage of it. You're not going to see it on Royal Caribbean social accounts. You're not going to see it in your TV commercial, and you're certainly not going to see posters for it advertised even at your local travel agency. The thing about Brilliance of the Seas and why you would pick for it is the value, because some of the amazing prices you can get for these cruises really stand out. As an example, I booked a junior suite for 7 nights for just $2,596. This is an incredible room for that price. Not to mention the fact that our itinerary were taking us to some really incredible places. In Curacao, I walked right into Williamstead, which is the capital, and it looks like a scene right out of the Netherlands because this is a Dutch property, and it was incredible to see the architecture here and almost feel like I'm back in Europe and just walk and meander around the streets and have almost a European day in one of these beautiful places. In Aruba, we had an overnight stay, and we actually did 2 different shore excursions. First, we had a day pass to the Riu Palace Resort. This offers me the opportunity to hang out and enjoy all their amenities, including unlimited drinks, food, beach access, pool access, and all for just one price. That evening, we departed on a sunset catamaran for an amazing view out to the water to take in one of the prettiest sunsets I've ever seen anywhere. And these are things that you really only can do or really get most value out of the Southern Caribbean because the vantage points and the scenery is always picture perfect amazing. And in this case, I had been to places like Aruba and Curacao before, but not to Tortola. And in addition to that, I got a chance to spend more time in San Juan, Puerto Rico. But best of all, it was a fairly inexpensive cruise vacation. There are deals out there on Royal Caribbean. Cruise prices are not going down overall, but you can find really good value if you're willing to fly, go out of non-traditional cruise ports like San Juan, go on older, smaller cruise ships like Brilliance of the Seas, and go in with the right approach. I can't go in there expecting an icon class experience, but what I can expect is still a classic cruising experience that I absolutely loved. And I'll tell you this much, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend going on a ship like Brilliance of the Seas again. In fact, I would love to go back. I'll actually be sailing on her sister ship, Serenade of the Seas, later this summer to Alaska, another place where I'm prioritizing the destination over the ship itself. And that is why I think an older, smaller cruise ship really is a great decision. If you've been on Brilliance of the Seas, let me know your favorite things about this kind of ship and why would you pick an older, smaller ship, and what are some things to think about, avoid, or recommend if you do try one out there. Let me know in the comments below. While you're down in our comments, please be sure to like our video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way YouTube lets you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. We'll talk again real soon.